Start now. Not when everything feels neat, not when you finally feel fully confident, not when every doubt disappears, and not when life gives you a perfect opening. Start now, because perfection is one of the quietest ways people delay the life they want. It sounds noble. It sounds responsible. It sounds like high standards. But too often, perfection is just fear wearing a clean shirt. It whispers that you should wait until you are ready, wait until you know more, wait until you can do it flawlessly, wait until the timing is better, wait until you are certain nobody will judge you. And while you wait, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass. Confidence fades. Energy drains. The months keep going. The long game of success keeps asking for small, honest steps, and progress is the only language it understands. Progress is the steady decision to keep moving even while you are still learning, still correcting, still growing, and still becoming the person who can handle the future you keep imagining. If you feel stuck, behind, or frustrated with yourself, this message is for you. Your life does not need perfection to begin changing. It needs movement. It needs commitment. It needs a mind willing to value forward motion more than flawless performance. The moment you choose progress over perfection, you stop making impossible demands on yourself and start making useful decisions. You stop asking for a perfect mood and start asking what you can do right now. You stop chasing an image and start building a real life. That choice can change everything. The reason success takes so long is not because you are doomed or broken. It is because real success is built from many layers. First, the mind has to change. Then the habits have to change. Then the standards have to change. Then the identity has to change. That takes time. It takes repetition. It takes pressure. It takes patience. It takes the kind of honesty many people avoid because it reveals how much work is actually required. But that work is not punishment. It is construction. You are not being delayed just to suffer. You are being formed so that when the results arrive, you can carry them with strength. A patient life builds depth, and depth is what lasts. So stop measuring your worth by how fast you are moving and start measuring by whether you are moving in the right direction. One honest step is worth more than 100 perfect plans. One real habit is worth more than polished intentions. One brave action is worth more than endless self-criticism. Progress is what turns hope into evidence. It tells your nervous system that you are not trapped in the same place forever. It tells your future that you are serious. There will be days when you do less than you wanted. There will be days when the work is messy. There will be days when you have to begin again after making the same mistake one more time. That does not erase the progress you have made. It only means you are human, and humans learn through repetition. The goal is not to become a person who never slips. The goal is to become a person who does not collapse every time they slip. That is a very different thing. That is resilience. That is maturity. If you can keep returning to the work after disappointment, you are already building something powerful. The mind often tries to turn one bad day into a permanent story, but you do not have to let it. You can say, I am not finished. I am still learning. I am still building. I am still responsible for the next move. That is the voice of progress. It does not deny the difficulty. It refuses to give difficulty the final word. Every meaningful life is built by people who can live with imperfect beginnings. That is difficult for a lot of ambitious people because they want their first attempt to look polished, their first result to feel certain, and their first step to already prove that they belong. But growth does not begin with polish. It begins with participation. It begins with showing up before you feel impressive. It begins with making the work more important than the image. When you choose progress, you permit yourself to be a beginner without feeling ashamed of it. That permission is powerful. It stops you from waiting for a version of yourself that does not exist yet. It says, I am here now, and I can learn now, and I can improve now. The person who makes peace with being early in the process becomes dangerous to mediocrity, because they are no longer wasting energy trying to appear finished. They are free to build, and building is where the real transformation happens. You can look at any successful person and imagine the polished version of their story, but the truth is that every useful skill, every stable habit, every quiet confidence, every disciplined routine was once awkward, inconsistent, and unfinished. The difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck is not that one group starts perfect. The difference is that one group stays with the process long enough to become capable. Capability is earned through repetition. Clarity is earned through mistakes. Confidence is earned through proof. Peace is earned through boundaries. Self-respect is earned through follow-through. There is no shortcut around that. The body needs repetition to grow stronger. The mind needs repetition to grow clearer. The character needs repetition to grow steady. And the longer you resist that truth, the longer success will feel out of reach. This is why so many people are frustrated. They want the fruit before the roots. They want the visible result before the hidden work. They want the applause before the discipline. But roots are invisible for a reason. They are doing the heavy lifting underground. Your daily choices are the roots of your future. Nobody may celebrate them today, but they will decide what can survive tomorrow. That if you are choosing progress, then you are choosing to respect the hidden stage. You are choosing to believe that what is not seen is still building something important. You are choosing to accept that awkward practice is part of power. You are choosing to let repetition do its work. That may not feel exciting, but excitement is not the same as success. Real success is often calm. It is often ordinary. It is often built on ordinary days where you did not give in to the urge to quit. That is why the long game matters. It protects you from being fooled by how things feel in the moment. Feelings are important, but they are not always accurate indicators of your future. You may feel behind and still be on track. You may feel weak and still be strengthening. You may feel invisible and still be building something solid. The challenge is learning to stay faithful to the process, even when your emotions are impatient. That is not denial. It is maturity. It is a refusal to let temporary feelings make permanent decisions. Progress over perfection means you stop judging every day by whether it was flawless. You start judging it by whether it was honest, useful, and forward-moving. Did you do one thing that mattered? Did you learn one thing you did not know yesterday? Did you keep one promise? Did you interrupt one bad pattern? Did you recover faster than before? Those are the questions that change a life. They keep your attention on movement instead of fantasy. And movement is where hope becomes real. Another reason progress matters more than perfection is that perfection can become a hiding place for fear. A person says they care about quality, but beneath that concern is a deeper fear. Fear of being seen trying, fear of being judged, fear of being wrong, fear of not looking naturally talented, fear of having to learn in public. Progress cuts through all of that. Progress says you do not need to be flawless to be useful. You do not need to be impressive to be effective. You do not need to have every answer to begin solving the problem in front of you. That shift is freeing because it gives you permission to be real. Real people make mistakes. Real people adjust. Real people have off days. Real people lose momentum and then regain it. Real people do not wait for a perfect identity to show up. They show up while still becoming. And every time you show up in truth, you become a little more trustworthy to yourself. That trust is worth more than perfection. Perfection is fragile. Trust is strong. Perfection breaks under pressure because it cannot survive a single mistake. Trust grows when you survive mistakes and continue anyway. This is why routine is one of your greatest allies. Routine does not ask you how inspired you feel. It just helps you move. Wake up, stretch, breathe, write, plan, work, learn, repeat. These simple actions look small, but they are powerful because they remove decision fatigue. They make progress easier to repeat. They create structure where chaos used to live. And when structure enters your life, your mind begins to calm down. A calm mind is a sharper mind. A sharp mind makes better decisions. Better decisions create better days. Better days create better months. Better months create better years. This is how success takes shape. Not through one heroic burst, but through 1,000 ordinary repetitions. The truth is that most people do not fail because they lack talent. They fail because they cannot keep a useful routine alive long enough for it to work. They start with energy, but energy fades. They start with excitement, but excitement fades. They start with an ideal, but ideals get interrupted by real life. The person who chooses progress learns to respect the boring part. They learn to keep moving through the middle. They learn to come back after a bad day without turning the bad day into a bad life. That is where stability grows. Stability is not boring. Stability is freedom. It means your life is less controlled by mood and more directed by purpose. That is a massive advantage. If you can build a routine that supports your goals, you will slowly become someone who does not need to restart every Monday. You will stop living in emotional cycles where one good day makes you hopeful and one bad day makes you hopeless. Instead, you will have a system, a real system, one that holds you when motivation is weak and reminds you what to do next. Systems are powerful because they carry you when your feelings are unreliable. They make progress possible on tired days. They make discipline repeatable. They turn effort into a way of life. And once effort becomes a way of life, success becomes far more likely because you are no longer depending on random bursts of motivation to keep your future alive. You are protecting it with structure. There is also a deep emotional side to progress that people often miss. Every time you choose progress over perfection, you are practicing self-compassion without lowering your standards. That matters. Some people think kindness toward yourself means making excuses. It does not. True self-compassion says, I can be honest about my flaws without hating myself. I can admit I am learning without calling myself worthless. I can correct my mistakes without humiliating myself. That kind of inner voice helps people keep going. You do not grow well in constant self-attack. You grow better when the inner voice is steady, firm, and fair. Another part of choosing progress is learning how to separate temporary discomfort from permanent identity. Many people stay trapped because they assume their current feelings are facts about who they are. They feel awkward, so they think they are awkward. They feel lost, so they think they are lost forever. They feel behind, so they think they are a person who always falls behind. But feelings are not identities. Feelings are weather. They move. They shift. They can be intense without being truthful. You need to learn to stand beside your feelings instead of being ruled by them. Notice them. Respect them. Do not deny them. But do not hand them the keys. If a bad week makes you say, I am hopeless, then your feelings have become too powerful. If a moment of embarrassment makes you say, I am not meant for success, then your feelings are now shaping your future in destructive ways. Progress means learning a new inner response. It means saying, this is uncomfortable, but it does not define me. This is hard, but it is not who I am. This is temporary, but my growth can be permanent. That response changes everything because it keeps you from collapsing under the weight of the present moment. It reminds you that you are more than your mood, more than your mistakes, more than your current results, more than your worst day. You are a person in motion, and motion gives you room to evolve. That evolution takes time because the brain loves familiarity. Even when familiar patterns hurt, they feel safe because they are known. That is why progress can feel uncomfortable at first. It is not just asking you to do new things. It is asking you to let go of a version of yourself that you have grown used to. That can feel like a loss. It can feel like grief. It can feel strange to stop repeating the same self-talk, the same excuses, the same emotional habits. But what you are losing is not your identity. It is a pattern that kept your identity smaller than it could be. And letting go of that smaller pattern is an act of courage. You are making room for a better one. You are saying, I am not here to stay the same just because staying the same is comfortable. I am here to become stronger, clearer, and more capable. That is a serious decision. It requires a willingness to disappoint the version of you that would rather remain safe than become great. And yes, growth often requires disappointment. It may disappoint your pride. It may disappoint your cravings. It may disappoint your impatience. But it will not disappoint your future. When you choose progress, you choose a different relationship with discomfort. You stop expecting comfort to lead the way. You start recognizing discomfort as a sign that something important is changing. That does not mean every uncomfortable thing is good. It means good things often feel uncomfortable while they are being built. A muscle burns while it grows stronger. A mind feels challenged while it becomes sharper. A disciplined life can feel demanding before it becomes peaceful. So when the process feels hard, do not immediately conclude that it is wrong. Ask better questions. Is this challenging me in a useful way? Is this discomfort coming from growth or from a bad choice I need to correct? Is this the pain of development or the pain of distraction? Those are the kinds of questions that help you move wisely instead of reacting emotionally. Progress is not the absence of discomfort. It is the willingness to move through useful discomfort on the way to a better life. The most dangerous lie in the pursuit of success is that you have to look ready before you are allowed to become ready. That lie keeps people performing instead of improving. It makes them spend too much time polishing the outside while the inside stays underdeveloped. But real progress is not about appearing finished. It is about becoming effective. It is about increasing your capacity, your reliability, your clarity, and your resilience until the work begins to show in a way you can trust. If you are always waiting until you feel complete, you will miss the beautiful mess of development. You will miss the part where your courage grows because you had to do something awkward. You will miss the part where your discipline deepens because you had to keep going through uncertainty. You will miss the part where your character strengthens because you had to be honest about your limits and still move forward. These are not small things. They are the training ground of a strong life. The good news is that progress can begin now, regardless of where you are. If your room is disorganized, you can begin there. If your mind is scattered, you can begin there. If your finances are messy, you can begin there. If your habits are weak, you can begin there. If your confidence is low, you can begin there. Progress respects starting points. It does not require you to pretend you are somewhere else. It just asks you to work with sincerity. Start with what is in front of you. Clean the one thing. Finish the one task. Send the one message. Make the one adjustment. Every small act of responsibility increases your power. And power built through responsibility is much more stable than power built through fantasy. A lot of people are waiting for a life reset, but the reset they need is usually internal. They need to decide to stop negotiating with the habits that have already proven they cannot be trusted. They need to become serious about the things that matter. They need to treat their future as something worth protecting today. That is not dramatic, but it is effective. A serious life often begins with simple decisions repeated often. Get up a little earlier. Put the phone down a little sooner. Focus a little longer. Finish a little more. Rest with intention. Return with discipline. Learn with humility. Repeat. Those choices create momentum. And momentum is what carries people through the weeks when inspiration is thin. The person who only relies on inspiration will always be vulnerable to the weather of the day. The person who builds progress into their routine becomes more stable. They no longer need to reinvent themselves every time they feel off. They already have a path. They already have a structure. They already know what to return to. That is freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you feel like. Freedom is having enough inner order that you can keep moving even when your feelings are noisy. The more you practice this, the less power perfection has over you. You begin to understand that imperfect action, done consistently, beats perfect intention every time. This is the kind of truth that changes lives quietly but permanently. It is not glamorous, but it is real, and real is what lasts. You also have to understand that the long path to success is not only about external progress. It is also about becoming harder to break on the inside. Life will test you, sometimes in obvious ways, sometimes in subtle ones. You will face disappointment. You will face rejection. You will face seasons where you feel unseen, misunderstood, or underestimated. You will face moments when effort feels too slow and hope feels thin. What matters is not whether these moments appear. They will. What matters is how you answer them. Do you let them define your character, or do you let them refine it? Do you let frustration make you bitter, or do you let it make you wiser? Do you let delay make you restless, or do you let it make you disciplined? Those are the real questions. The strong person is not the one who never struggles. The strong person is the one who keeps their direction while struggling. They do not hand their future over to every passing feeling. They keep their values intact. They keep their habits moving. They keep their mind pointed at the next useful step. That is resilience. Resilience is not dramatic. It is steady. It is quiet. It is persistent. It is the ability to stay with your life when the easy exit would be to quit, retreat, or numb out. And that ability is built through practice. Every time you stay calm where you used to panic, you get stronger. Every time you recover faster, you get stronger. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you get stronger. Every time you choose the harder useful thing over the easier empty thing, you get stronger. Success takes so long because resilience cannot be rushed. It has to be tested. It has to be lived. It has to be earned in moments that feel too small to matter, but end up shaping everything. If you are in a hard season right now, do not waste it by only asking when it will end. Ask what it can teach you. Ask what habits it is revealing. Ask what weaknesses need to be addressed. Ask what strengths are quietly growing because of the pressure. That is the mindset that turns pain into progress. That is the mindset that helps people not only survive hard seasons, but come out of them more capable than before. There is a form of quiet pride that comes from surviving what once felt impossible. Not arrogance. Pride in the right sense. The sense that says, I stayed. I learned. I changed. I kept going when part of me wanted to quit. That kind of confidence cannot be faked. It comes from evidence. It comes from surviving the long path. It comes from the history of showing up again and again. And once you have that history, you do not need to impress people with noise. Your life speaks for itself. That is what progress makes possible. It creates a life with substance. A life that does not need to shout in order to matter. The final thing to remember is that progress is never wasted just because it is slower than your preference. A slower path can still be the right path. In fact, for many people, it is the only path that produces the depth they truly need. If everything came too quickly, some lessons would never stick. Some habits would never be tested. Some weaknesses would never be healed. The long road teaches you what drains you, what strengthens you, what you can trust, and what must be changed. That learning is part of the reward. You are not only chasing an outcome, you are gaining wisdom, and wisdom is a form of wealth that no setback can take away. So do not resent the time it takes to become better. Respect it. Do not shame yourself for needing more time to build. Use the time well. That is the difference between people who drift and people who rise. One group waits to feel perfect. The other group chooses progress, then keeps choosing it until progress becomes proof. When you choose progress over perfection, you choose reality over fantasy and growth over self-protection. You are saying that a real future matters more than a flawless performance. That is one of the strongest decisions a person can make. It reduces fear. It increases honesty. It builds confidence that can actually survive pressure. It helps you accept the learning curve without giving up your standards. It helps you keep your head up while your life is still under construction. And that is where strong futures begin. Not in perfect moments, in faithful ones, in humble ones, in repeated ones. So if today feels slow, stay with it. If today feels imperfect, stay with it. If today feels unfinished, stay with it. The life you want is not built by dramatic mood swings. It is built by steady action. It is built by people who learn to be patient with the process and serious about the work. That is you if you decide it is. That is your turning point. Not becoming perfect. Becoming better. Not needing to look finished. Choosing to keep building. Not waiting for a flawless day. Moving anyway. This is how success takes so long. And this is also why it becomes worth it. Because when you finally become the person who can hold it, you will know it was built with intention, not accident. You will know it came through discipline, not luck. You will know it survived delay because you survived the delay with it. And that changes everything. It changes how you see yourself. It changes how you trust yourself. It changes how you handle the next challenge. The long game does not just give you results. It gives you roots. It gives you depth. It gives you a life that can continue. Keep going, even if it is slower than you wanted. Keep building, because progress is how a real future is made. Keep moving. Keep choosing better. Your future is still alive.